Hello again, this is Kevin Foley, reporter with Philipstown.info, and now I'm interviewing Stephen Dubroff, candidate for trustee in Nelsonville. And Stephen, welcome.
Thank you.
And why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your background, when you got to Nelsonville, and etc.
Okay. I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up in the city. I moved here in 2006 with my wife.
I assume by city you mean New York City.
Sorry, yes. We are just as close to Albany, yes.
I'm just teasing. I'm obviously from New York City too, if you listen to me long enough.
So yes, I'm a native New York, Manhattanite actually. I went away to college in upstate New York, University of Rochester. Graduated in 1992 with a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science. Lived in the South for a little bit and moved back to New York and moved up here in Cold Spring, Nelsonville area in 2006.
Okay, and you have a family?
Yes, I have a wife and two beautiful children, 3 years old Edwin, and my daughter Eleanor is 6 months old.
Okay, so you're living here for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly you decide that Nelsonville Board of Trustees could use a little bit of a change. So tell us about what was the genesis of that thinking.
Well, I just figured I'd try to garner some interest here in Philipstown.info. So no, seriously, I've always been involved, interested in politics and the community, and I thought this was a really great way to get involved in the community and get to meet my neighbors. So it's hard to go knocking on doors and just say hi, I'm your neighbor. So I thought this was a nice opportunity to do so and say, oh, by the way, I'm also running for a village trustee, and so it's been great. I've been able to meet a lot of neighbors which have lived 5 doors down but didn't have a real good relationship with them, and now I have. So I think that's been part of the reason. And I also just want to get involved in the community.
Okay, so when you're knocking on people's doors,
Mm-hmm.
what are you telling them when you introduce yourself and why they should be voting for you?
That's a good question. I think, I think that part of the reason I tell them what I believe in, and the issues in Nelsonville are definitely smaller scale than stuff that's happening, more in the statewide, or we're not really talking about big budget stuff or anything like that, Obamacare. It's really just what I try to get across to people is that I think what's going to make us more successful as a village is if we can actually get involved. So people, besides the trustees, but the residents are going to have to get involved and become passionate about a cause and really, work towards that. So I think that's one of the things. That's what I tell them I want to bring to the village. I would like to bring some more transparency a little as well. I think we have great technology available to us. We should be able to use it.
In what ways do you mean specifically?
Well, like right now, the meeting minutes are recorded electronically, but they're not available for anyone to actually listen to. So if you missed a meeting, I mean, of course, the meetings don't go that long, but to be able to upload the meeting minutes, I think would be great. Archive them so then we have a whole history of it. I think.
So people would have, you mean, access through the internet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I think that could also be more than just that. It could also be the zoning code or the village bylaws or the village budget. That kind of stuff isn't necessarily available to people, and you actually have to file a freedom of information request to get it. So that just doesn't, that seems to be a little bit easier to get people involved. So I think I'd like to bring that to the village.
Okay. When you're out, and I understand that you're looking to knock on virtually every door in the village.
It's a goal. I think I'm going to fall short, but it's a goal. It's been difficult with the two little ones to get out to every house.
Okay. Well, what are people saying to you as you have these discussions at their doorfront?
Some people are. At first I had to get on the ballot, so I was getting people to sign my petition, and most people were happy to do so. Some people have been engaged and asked, what I'm interested in or why I'm doing it. So, there hasn't been, I don't want to say a tremendous amount of interest, but I've only had, I'd say, a dozen or so conversations with people that really, want to talk about, well, why are you running? And I guess what they've said to me is, some people have said that they felt like they didn't necessarily have a great avenue for discussions or issues. They didn't really know how to to it if somebody had a problem with a fence or something along those lines. They didn't know, how to actually get it addressed. And so I was just listening and trying to, and the best advice I could give them, I said was, I think, in my view, the village trustees have a specific set of guidelines that they should adhere to, and and everything else they should really be by the wayside. And what I mean by that is focus on the important stuff. If a neighbor comes to the village and says, you know what, I'm having a problem, I think that should be someone that the village trustee should be able to deal with in an informal manner. And I think, so I've seen some of that, I guess, I don't know if I answered your question properly.
Okay, you've seen some of that in terms of that's what's on people's minds.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, no one's talking about the water. A little, and I think that's a big deal, obviously. I mean, talk
a little bit.
Sure.
What you mean by the water.
The Christmas Eve fire 2 Christmases ago, so I guess that would be 2009. Pretty devastating on the big Harrison
Actually,
house.
just 1 year ago, right?
Well, 2 Christmases ago.
Right. Okay. All right.
It goes fast. But they had to truck water up from the Hudson, and they had this big inflatable pool. And to me, that was startling because, it was a water pressure issue, and the pipes are 100 and some odd years old in places. So that was a big deal. And obviously having kids, I mean, fire is a devastating thing. So I thought, I mean, I don't want to say that I think this is something that the Nelsonville trustee can solve, but by himself. But I think it's something that should be a long-term goal. I think we should figure out what the problem is, who are the barriers to getting it fixed, and then as a community going out and addressing it. So squeaky wheel gets the grease. Right. So call once a week, then call twice a week, and then 3 times a week. And just keep stepping up the pressure until we, figure out, is it good? If we had sewer in Nelsonville, people in Cold Spring might think, well, that that's not necessarily good for us. Maybe it's systems of capacity, that kind of stuff. I don't know all those facts. I would like to understand those, but if there's sewer in Nelsonville, maybe there could be a restaurant in Nelsonville. If there's a restaurant in Nelsonville, maybe it actually brings more people into Cold Spring. So I think from a community perspective, a business perspective, we do have a Main Street, right? I mean, there's a florist, there's a hair salon, there's a groomer. I think that's maybe more people come to the florist, maybe they want to have lunch at Pally's. I don't know. I just think it's something to.
So you would like to encourage a little more economic development in Nelsonville?
Yeah, and absolutely. I think the business owners would like to see that as well. I mean, we have a Main Street, and it's not antique stores, but it's stuff that real people need.
Mm-hmm.
So
local people
need. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 25 antique stores is great, but you can't get your shoes fixed there.
Right.
So
you would have some greater emphasis on perhaps a couple of more local entities that would serve the population.
What I would like to see is I would like to see people come forward, residents come forward, say, you know what, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in the water, the sewer protection or the fire, and I'd like to be involved. How can I help? And then we say, you know what, great. We need you to help. But everybody has full-time jobs in this village, except for Pauline, who's the only full-time Nelsonville employee.
Right. You're referring to the village clerk.
Yes. Thank you. Excuse me, Pauline Miners. So I get people who are good. I mean, it's got to be someone in Nelsonville who's involved in technology, who's a website developer, who can help us in that aspect. Then you get somebody who, maybe one of the residents of Nelsonville is one of the business owners, and we could get them to say, I would love to be. I don't know if it's a Nelsonville Chamber of Commerce, but you know what I'm saying. Just get them to help out in that aspect. And then I think so forth and so on. Maybe we have all these great, Nelsonville is a hiker's hamlet. We have these great trails. I mean, maybe we can emphasize that a little bit. I think there's a lot of things that could be done.
So to sum up a little bit, you would like to encourage more volunteerism on the part of the residents.
Absolutely. It's the only way it's going to get done. I can't, if I were to be elected, there's no way I could solve these problems by myself. By any means, I'm not saying that. It has to be from the groundswell. And it's a small community, so if you get 75% of all the village residents to call, the DEC or whomever it is that we determine, once we figure out where the roadblocks are, then I think, we can actually start making some headway.
Mm-hmm. one of the things that a trustee does is that they're the custodian of
Mm-hmm.
the village funds, etc.
Right.
Can you tell people a little bit about your professional background so they can
Sure.
understand a little more about you?
Sure. I'm the sales manager for a company called AVI-SPL. We're the world's largest audiovisual company. So I'm very familiar with numbers. I deal with it. We do a lot of big multi-million-dollar audiovisual projects for corporations all around, but mine mostly focus in the tri-state.
So this is like installing video conferencing and that
Right.
kind of thing?
A lot of it's upgrades, but a lot of times new construction. So there's a new building at Times Square, and a new law firm's moving in, and they've got 20 floors, and there's going to be conference rooms and that kind of stuff. So I deal with a lot of the different trades. Local 3 in this case is a lot of the installers, and so I'm very familiar with bids and the bidding process, of course, which happens in Nelsonville with some of the the oil, the bids that go on. That
Services
kind of
that the village has to
right.
obtain.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Correct. So,
Okay.
so in any event, so I think that provides some expertise, or at least some qualification to be able to be a guardian or custodian of the trustee of the village finances.
Okay. Is there anything else that we should know either about you or your vision for Nelsonville before the voters go to the polls?
On March 15th.
On March 15th,
Yes.
Between noon and 9 o'clock.
Which is difficult for some commuters, because we have a lot of commuters in Nelsonville. I think that overridingly I want people to vote. If they don't vote for me, I will be, upset. I would, of course, I'm an underdog. I want to win, but I really would love to see a great turnout. I think that would be great. Personally, I've moved here. I've decided to raise my family here. I know I'm not a Nelsonvillian native, I guess is.
Right.
But I've decided to put my roots down here, and I want to be part of the community. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, good luck in the election.
Thank you very much.
Okay.